And we're back. I'm your host, Andrew Wyld, and I'm delighted to introduce Gareth Lane, EMEA partner for digital products at ERM. For more than 20 years, he's helped Fortune 500 companies harness technology and achieve their digital transformation goals to achieve EHS operational excellence. And today, he's here to show us how complex carbon-intensive facilities can reduce energy and emissions with emissions.AI. So let's get into it. Gareth, thank you so much for being here today.
Pleasure. Nice to meet you, Andrew.
You too. I'm really looking forward to the conversation. So just to kick things off, let's talk a bit about innovation. So give us a bit of background about ERM, innovation, technology, etc.
Of course. So ERM, as you know, is the largest pure-play sustainability consultancy in the world. We have 8,500 employees globally, and we deal with some of the biggest challenges that clients are facing at the moment around net zero strategy, around sustainability, and how to deal with the complexities that are out there around ESG. As a business, we have the consultancy side of the business. We then have technology in-house, which enables us to provide solutions for our consultants, which provide efficiencies, streamline processes. We also have the product side of the business, which I'm involved in. The product side of the business is very much focused on looking at new solutions which aren't presently in the market.
Right.
So looking at areas where we can add real value through our 50 years pedigree in sustainability, capture our IP to create those efficiencies, and leverage the data that we're capturing through our engagement in the market.
That's great background. Thank you. So if we think about generative AI specifically, how does it help your clients operationalize sustainability?
So for our clients, we're looking at how we can utilize the data. Data doesn't seem to be a problem anymore for most of the clients that we're dealing with. The difficulty is the amount of data that clients have to look through. So generative AI is providing us with ways to speed the process, create a standardized process, create the methodology so that we find the information that we need quite quickly and easily, and then provide the insights and information that allow our consultants to then add value to the project. So for example, we have a solution called ESG Fusion. It was created because our clients in mergers and acquisitions in the investment business were searching the first 4 or 5 pages of Google to find the information that they needed to be able to provide a report in the acquisition that they were focused in on.
Right.
What we can do with generative AI is we can actually search 25 billion articles and 4 million sources of reliable data that ERM know and our consultants have used to start to pull together a report within 12 to 48 hours, depending on the size. But it really gives us the chance to create efficiencies and speed to market. The other area that we focus in on is through emissions.AI, focus very much on complex industrial assets.
Right.
On the basis that you have so many variables within an oil and gas or chemical facility. So you've got different weather conditions, different crews, different pieces of equipment online, offline. That makes it humanly not possible to be able to map exactly where your efficiencies are or what carbon is being produced on each piece of equipment due to all of that complexity.
Right.
And that's where emissions.AI and technology really helps to create the information in an understandable way. It allows you to present the information to the engineers so that they can make real-time decisions rather than looking at lagging indicators.
Okay, again, really insightful and interesting. And just sort of moving things on a little bit, digital twins popping up everywhere, used in very different scenarios. How are they effective for optimizing energy, emissions, and performance, in your view?
Good question. And that leads on to my previous comment around emissions.AI, because that is essentially a digital twin. And quite often when we speak to clients and they have digital twins, they're really looking at the production, not at the energy management of their facility. So that's where we're slightly different. We're looking at the energy in and the emissions out within the facility. So we can provide in-depth detail below the master meter level on the emissions on every pump, compressor, gas turbine.
Wow.
So that essentially is giving you not only the emissions, but the fuel that you're using. So we can help reduce the emissions, but we can also help reduce your fuel cost.
Right.
Because we're going to that granular level. The engineers will need to make the decisions,
Great.
but this speeds the process. It gives them information and insights quickly, because production may be king.
Yeah.
Safety is definitely a priority.
Absolutely.
And risk is there. So emissions is one of those factors that they need to consider, but it's not always top of mind. So emissions AI brings it to the top of mind. Surface, exactly. And it also creates a carbon culture.
Right.
And that's what we really want from the data. Data drives conversation, and conversation drives behavior, and behavior then drives a net zero strategy in action.
Right. Again, really insightful. Thank you. And just kind of moving things over a little bit to a facility's carbon footprint. What type of adjustments might emissions AI recommend for lowering a facility's carbon footprint, say?
Yes. So within the facility, the technology will pick out those key events that could affect the license to operate. It could affect a flaring situation or a reliability issue. But quite often those are spotted by the engineers
Right.
already. They know their facility. But in some cases, there is a flare that happens where the data provides insight on why that flare within the history of the plant, why that specific flare was out of context or could have been mitigated or reduced. So that's one area where the software does help indicate cultural change, but it's the incremental changes over the year that emissions AI really plays a part.
Right.
So for example, if a piece of equipment hasn't been maintained properly, it indicates the reliability and also the emissions profile.
Right.
So we're creating on that piece of equipment a history, a library of cases when you had the same production, the same crew, the same weather conditions, but you had actually less emissions.
Right.
So then it indicates where you focus your time and effort. Was it due to a employee warming a gas turbine for an hour before production, and another crew member warming that gas turbine for 30 minutes with the same output, the same production? And then you start to learn lessons and say, well, actually, we could save half an hour's energy, half an hour's fuel, half an hour's emissions.
Yeah.
And over that year, those incremental gains provide...
They all build up.
They build up. And clients are seeing between a 3 to 7% reduction in emissions.
Wow.
Just by energy efficiency.
Yeah.
With no investment in new sensors and also no CapEx. This is operational wins. Yeah. This is something that you could do immediately as you plan for those electrification and hydrogen projects you may be looking at.
This is a really interesting conversation, and I really want to keep it going, but I know you brought something here to show us today. So why don't we get to that?
Love you to see it, Andrew.
Fantastic. Let's do that.
Hello. Emissions AI is a digital solution that helps reduce and improve the energy consumption of a facility while optimizing its productivity. An easy-to-use interface, it lets your team see real-time energy and emissions performance at a glance. It allows you to simulate and run experiments that test the impacts of your plant configuration. Using state-of-the-art AI techniques, the solution learns from historic energy and emissions performance and helps operations team zero in on the drivers of excess energy usage. It helps achieve emissions reduction under any circumstance, taking into account dynamic variables such as process configurations, operating procedures, plant startup shutdowns, and other operational data. Emissions AI provides value to different roles across all levels of your business. At C-level, it helps you meet your compliance obligations effectively. For those running each of your facilities, They have the opportunity to become internal thought leaders and demonstrate best practice and innovation. Benefits are not solely restricted to internal stakeholders. Many of our clients use it to manage relationships with external stakeholders such as regulators and investors. Emissions AI is ERM's leading digital solution. It can be deployed on any complex industrial facility in a matter of months with no new hardware requirements. Additionally, our service team can support the setup, implementation, and operation of the product, thus assisting our clients on their journey towards sustainable operations.
That was really interesting, Gareth. I'm keen to get back to the conversation as well. So thinking about ERM and Microsoft and our joint partnership, can you talk me through some of the technologies used, such as Azure, to platform on top of Emissions AI?
Yes, of course. So the reason we partnered with Microsoft was due to the amount of data that we need to look through for Emissions AI, for example. So we need to timeline that data. We need to store the data. We then need to create a history and a library of every variable within that asset. So we're creating a whole set of data around how we can improve on the emissions. Like I said before, there is the information that we're capturing is providing an insight on what the deltas are when you had the same production, the same equipment in force, but you had lower emissions. And how do you get to that utopia point? Again,
of course.
So that's what we're providing. And Microsoft Azure is our partner to support us with that. And we get a lot more from the relationship because I know the product team are in regular conversations with Microsoft to look at new developments, to look at ways we can plug in other data sets, how we can continually be at the forefront of technology, but still utilizing our ESG consultancy and sustainability expertise, which is putting ERM as the leader in sustainability consultancy. So that combined effort really adds value for our clients. And on a human level, Azure internally and externally provides that confidence in the security that you are with a partner that is long-term and that your data is protected and that we have the innovation which is continually being provided through the upgrades that we support our clients with.
That's really encouraging to hear. Really good. And when we think about different industries and organizations, which ones will benefit most from Emissions AI?
So Emissions AI is for those complex industrial assets. So we really look at assets, so assets as in sites. So offshore oil and gas, oil rigs. We have midstream, downstream, we sell into petrochemical organizations. So those complex industrial assets where there's not a linear process, there's continual variables, and there's different, normally a 24/7 production. So we look for those types of assets where the barrier to entry is more difficult, where you need process engineers, you need environmental experts, air specialists, and technology to be able to deliver. And then we focus in on looking at those incremental gains that get you to a 3 to 7% reduction in emissions, which then can convert into monetary value.
Right.
So one of our clients, I may cover this later as well, but one of our clients has reduced their carbon by 7,000 tons, which equates to $500,000 in carbon tax, which then equates to $4 million in fuel cost. And then you get the brand recognition that you are actually going above and beyond what is necessary in regulation to prove that you really do want to lower the carbon intensity of your product.
Yeah, that's really interesting to hear. And it's good to hear as well on both fronts. And just thinking about, joint projects or initiatives aimed at pushing the boundaries of what is possible in the sustainability sector. Have you got any examples that you could share with us?
An example that springs to mind is within the wider ERM, we have a Project Dolphin.
Right.
Which is...
Dolphin. Are you going to tell us why you call it Dolphin?
I think it's a code name, but it is floating.
Okay.
And it does use air. So I guess there is a tie in there. Definitely something in there. Because Project Dolphin is a floating wind turbine that generates green hydrogen.
Right.
And the team back at ERM will probably say that is the worst soundbite for a major project. But it is extremely exciting because it is creating green hydrogen. So provides an opportunity for ERM to demonstrate that our knowledge of the industry, our technology, and our ability as a business to work with partners in the industry.
Yeah, no, I absolutely understand that. And I think, just thinking about customer stories, you've touched on that already. Yeah. Have you got any other customer stories you'd like to share with us today and share with the audience?
Yes, and just to round off Project Dolphin, we are using the emissions.AI technology, but it has a reliability as a digital twin technology, which is really supporting us to demonstrate that the solution is meeting the needs and the expectations.
Right.
But other examples, we're dealing with a large Canadian organization, oil and gas company, and they are looking to achieve certain KPIs, goals, and energy efficiency provides 3% of that overall carbon reduction. So it's built into their model. So emissions AI on carbon reduction is a key driver, which they're seeing. We had a client, a major oil and gas company. The regional director wanted their engineers to tell him, what is my best day for carbon? And the engineers were saying it's very difficult to say what our best day for carbon is because every day is different. What emissions AI does is it provides that insight because it's mapping back to every day and mapping to a similar day where the same production, same equipment, but lower emissions.
Where?
And then we have a chemical company that is looking to continually export their goods into Europe. But with the carbon border adjustment mechanism, that market could be taken away from them. So they really want to get a granular level of insight on every product they have, the level of emissions, and how they can reduce those emissions to create a green or greener brand product, which can add more value to them and also to their clients and the supply chain.
Fantastic. Some great examples. Thank you for sharing that. So we've covered an awful lot of ground, but what I'd really like to do, is there anything else you want to tell us about ERM, emissions AI, before we wrap up?
There's a lot to talk about ERM due to the diversity in the projects we do. We covered from board strategy to boots on the ground, so we can provide that corporate strategy and also action to put the decisions into place. Technology is a real enabler. And technology really helps us create a differential in the market, and it allows us to drive forward. Net zero will not happen without technology, without AI. So we're very proud of the relationship, the weekly conversations we have with Microsoft, the support and the growth that we can achieve together in order to turn a very complex situation into a way to move forward. Mm-hmm. And the winners will be the ones who take that complexity and turn it to their advantage. Yep. So that's what we try to do.
Excellent. And long may that partnership continue. This has been a great conversation. Thank you so much. Thank you for coming. Thank you for showing us your products as well today. And thank you from the audience.
Pleasure. Thank you, Andrew.
All right. Thank you.